I am trying so hard not to stress about work, but this is my first year being a bus monitor, and I've had this extended break for the summer. School starts back up in the beginning of September, and I am just like, do I just show up at work? Like, what's going on? We have an app for work, and somehow I can't sign in. Like, I can't get any emails for like resetting my password in case I have my password wrong. Like, nothing is working. I cannot sign into this app. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying not to stress. Luckily, my godmom does work for the company, so I messaged her to ask her how it works if I just show up on the first day of school, and I'm waiting for her to respond. In other news, I took a couple days off, obviously, from dealing with the book, dealing with Forrest. I just needed to take a step away from it after like having my eyes on it for 31 days. So I took my break from it, and today I was like, I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna do a read through and do a quick little edit before we get it out to betas. Also, speaking of betas, I actually messaged the people that responded to my beta form to find out if they were still indeed interested in beta reading for me. I will leave the form open for a few more days if anybody else is interested. But yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna start reading through Force today and do like a quick little edit, fix anything that needs to be fixed before it goes to betas. And I started just like reading it, like actually reading it on the laptop, and then changed my mind because I was like, that is going to take forever. I don't think that I'm the fastest reader, so I'm like, that's gonna take a while. And I don't want it to take a while. So I copied everything out of the Google Doc and put it into a Word document. I opened Word on my phone, and I pressed the read along, or the read out loud, I think it says. And I just listened to my book be read to me. We're not that, excuse me. I was gonna say we're not that far, but we actually are pretty far in. There's 27 chapters in total, and I am in chapter 13 right now. So yeah, I'm making decent headway with it, but I was listening to it, and it's such a bizarre feeling of having your book read to you or listening to the audio of it. And Word definitely improved on their like reading the I guess the audio for getting stuff read to you. They definitely improved, because I used it a few years back with a book, and it wasn't that great. It was all right. But it was actually really good. I'm so sorry, you guys. I seem to be having a day. Ugh. But it But yeah, so it was actually pretty good. Like, the female voice that was on it, like she did voice changes for certain characters, and she was pronouncing names correctly. Like, sometimes you get that where people are pronouncing the name wrong, and she was pronouncing names correctly. Like, she would change the inflection of her voice, and I was just like, oh, I've never been a big audiobook person. I prefer to hold a book physically, but I transitioned to reading digitally. But yeah, I've never really been a big audio book person. And like I said, I listened or tried to listen to one of my books in the past, and it just really didn't work out. And I was like, it'll just work better for me to read it and edit. But it actually, this time, worked better having it read to me. And I was like walking around the apartment, and I was doing the dishes and all of that. And I'm like listening to it. And every time I would hear a mistake, I would go, instead of pulling it up on my phone, because I didn't want to like stop her as she was, well, I guess I could have still stopped her because I was able to have the phone out of the Word app while it did it. But I would just sit down at the laptop and go to the Google Doc, not the Microsoft Soft Word doc. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know why I feel like there's like something stuck in my throat. But yeah, so I would sit down at my computer, go to the Google Doc, and I would find where she left off in the story, where I heard the mistake, and then I would fix it. And then I was, like I said, able to move around. I was walking back and forth in the apartment, trying to get my steps. Unfortunately, and this is so frustrating to me, I don't have access to my balcony right now. You guys, that is frustrating right now. They came in, they tore the banister off and put a board over the door so that I can't open the balcony, and then they left. Like, they had all the time to fix whatever needed to be fixed, even though I didn't get any knowledge, I didn't get any pre-warning on stuff that needed to be fixed. They could have did that. But they didn't. And I swear, you guys, I'm not sick. I don't know what's going on, and I'm not going to cut any of this out because I really don't feel like going through the struggle of editing and trying to remember what I was saying. But I feel like there's something stuck in my throat. So, yeah, so they blocked me from having access to my balcony. So I'm stuck in the apartment, but I was, walking around and I was listening to the book, and I am a little conflicted about one little thing. It's a little thing. So I told you guys that I was going to publish this book in the first person instead of third, like I did the first 3 books, and then I was going to go and redo the first 3 books in first person. You guys, the first chapter in this book is Eve and Adam's point of view combined. So instead of like really splitting it up and telling the same story 2 different ways, I guess is the way to say it, I left the first chapter in third person, and I did the rest in first person. And as I'm listening to, I literally started chapter 1 and went into the kitchen to wash the dishes. And as I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, this sounds so good. It sounded so good, and it sounded good in third person. So I was just like, oh my God, am I going to have to go back and keep it in third person? But then it would jump to chapter 2, which goes to first person. And I know it's probably not the best way to do this, is have a third person and a first person in the same book. But it jumps to chapter 2 and goes into first person. And that sounded good. So now I'm like, I don't know if I leave it the way it is, or if I change the whole book to third person. Like, I just don't know. So I'm going to leave that as a question for my betas, because they'll have both point of views in this book, so they can decide which one sounds better. I don't know. But yeah, it was a surreal thing listening to my book be read to me, and I really, really liked it. And I don't know, I might have to have my books done an audiobook in the future. I don't know. I'm undecided about that. But I do know that listening to it read back to me and not having my eyes physically on the document did something for my confidence, I would have to say. It boosted my confidence because as I'm listening to the first 12 chapters of the book, it's a good story. I think it's a good story. It's good. It was intriguing. Like, I don't really like audiobooks. I like to hold my books, but I'm listening to it and I'm like picking up stuff, and there's little things that she would do. She would like say a character's name, and I would be like, oh my gosh, she said it, she pronounced it correctly, and didn't pronounce it, the way an AI probably would pronounce it. Or a robot. I'm guessing AI and robot is the same. I don't know, you guys. I'm old. I'm telling my age right now. I'm old. I don't understand it. But it sounded really good. And just the story overall sounded good so far. So there was a couple things where she would read a sentence, and I listened to it, and I was like, yeah, no, that doesn't sound right. So I would jump on the computer and take it out and fix it. And then I'll obviously do this again. I'll take what I fixed out of Google Doc and put it back into Word and listen to it again to see how that sounds. But yeah, it sounded good. So that is a tip for any writers out there who, especially when it comes to the editing process. Yes, we should have editors look at our work, but I feel like it's doesn't hurt for our own eyes to be on it. And you also can learn a lot just by working on your own stuff. So yeah, I would recommend, if you use Microsoft Word, to use the the read out loud option and have it read to you, because you can pick up a lot of stuff that you would probably miss just by your eye scanning it. So I edit a little bit as I go. So as I was writing the book, I definitely was fixing things that, you know, and then if I got to a certain part and I was like, no, wait, what happened before? Or the next day I would need to pick back up, I would reread what I previously wrote to pick back up into the story. And as I was listening to it, there were like little things that I didn't realize that I did. I have these nails on. I said nails on like they're fake. These are my nails. I don't know if you guys can get a good look. This one is bent terribly. They do that. But I have these nails on. I just had to cut this one off recently. And this one is ridiculously long. Ridiculously. But the nails get in the way as I'm writing. So there would be like a letter missing that I'm sure that I typed the letter in, because I can type without actually looking at the keyboard. I gotten pretty good at that. And no, I typed the letter in, or the letters would be in the wrong spot. Like, I think the word was wasn't, and I'm listening to when she said want, one T is what she said, one T. And I was like, what? So I pulled it up and I was missing the S. It just said WAN''T, and I was missing the S. So I just know it was just me typing. But like I said, I had already previously like read through really quickly, and I missed that with my eyes. So listening to it and being like, that doesn't sound right, is very helpful. And it's helping me figure out like what needs to be changed. Like, she would say a line and I would listen to it and I would be like, oh, that kind of sounded familiar to the other line, or there was a word missing. Like I spelled out a word and I missed a letter, or I wrote a sentence and there was a word missing in between that. My eyes physically, and especially because I read all day, I also read on these apps where authors can publish, or writers, or aspiring authors, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, they can put their little stories up. They're not published on KDP or anything like that. They're on these sites like Wattpad, Good Novel, and Dream. I read on those a lot. I've gotten like addicted to those reading apps. And I find myself as I'm reading just completely ignoring a lot of the errors, because there's a lot. Like, people either don't edit before they publish on these sites, or they are not English speaking or American English speaking writers, and somebody will translate it for English speaking and it doesn't, really mesh well, grammar and spelling. So I would just correct it myself. And I find myself doing that when I'm visually reading my own work. So listening to it definitely helped me pick up on a lot of stuff that had to change. I feel like I just rambled on. That's what I feel like. But yeah, that's what happened. So if you are writing and you want to listen to your story, that is a good way to listen to it, is Microsoft Word. So that's what I did today. I listened to the first 12 chapters of my book. We will pick it back up tomorrow. I sent out emails to my beta readers. I'm going to leave the beta reader forum open in case anybody else would like to beta read. And I did something today that I'm going to save for another video, because this series is about publishing the next book in the Five Sisters series. So what I did today, the decision I made, and the steps I took, I will share in another video, probably tomorrow. Definitely tomorrow, because I already wrote it down that I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. But that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching my video. Again, as I ramble, because I always ramble, I start talking to you guys and I don't know how to stop. Sorry, but thank you guys so much for sticking around. If you made it all the way to the end, give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below, and subscribe if you are not already subscribed. Before I forget to say it, because I almost did, my name is Taquanda Taylor. I am the author of the paranormal drama series, The Five Sisters. The first 3 books are available on Amazon right now, and book 4 is finished and just needs to be edited and read by beta readers. So that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.